Aloha, it is Dave Lawrence, and thank you for joining us. We're here at the historic Blaisdell Arena, and it is Korn's first ever show in the islands. We're really fortunate. We got to speak with Jonathan Davis from the band on the phone, and now we're hooking up with their drummer who's been with the group since, I think, 2009. We'll hear from him. Ray Luzier is joining us here, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. How are we doing, Brother Ray?
I'm doing fantastic, and actually got the gig in 07.
07, and then, okay, so...
But in your defense, I got sworn in 09, so I was official member, but my first tour was the end of 07. So.
Unofficial. So how did that take me back to how you got the gig? You had been with David Lee Roth right before that, or?
Well, right before that, I was actually in a band called Army of Anyone with Robert and Dean DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots and Richard Patrick from Filter. I did that for about 2.5 years, and then David Lee Roth was about 8 years before that, so 8 years right before that. So
you were in DLR, then you did the Army band, and then how did these guys discover you?
Well, Army of Anyone and Korn are managed by the same management. So I was really into Korn, and I heard they were having drummer problems. They had, Terry Bozzio, Brooks Wackerman played on the Untitled record. Mike Borden was filling in. They had Joey from Slipknot filling in the 07 tour, and
whole slew of them.
Yeah, so they wanted a permanent guy, and Army of Anyone unfortunately was disbanding, and it all happened. Timing was impeccable. I went to a Family Values in 07, and I talked to Jonathan. I said I'm really interested, and he said, "Wow, I would love to have you come down." And they dug the Army of Anyone record, so they had me come down and right Joey's last gig in Seattle. Played 6 songs, and he said, "Welcome to the band. We'll see you in Dublin." And that was it.
Dude, that's happening. That's really cool. So you just showed up. You were hanging at his last gig, and they gave you the word, "You're on."
Yeah, we actually they auditioned me in an empty arena in the Joey's last gig. So it was kind of weird. I'm there at noon, empty freaking arena, the hum of the PA, and I learned about 33 songs. They told me to learn about 10, and I just try to go through much of the they have such a huge catalog, So, but I've been a fan of the band for a while, so I knew most of them. I just had to get the finer ones down.
So they had given you a list of the exact tunes they wanted?
Not really. I knew they wanted to hear the hits because they play them all the time, and but I learned some obscure ones too, and kind of asked them to play some weird ones, and off of Untitled and. I'm a big Terry Bozzio fan, so I wanted to play some of those songs. And
Yeah, no, he's a badass. I saw him, I guess, with Jeff Beck a few years back.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
No, that guy is he slays. Now, your personal history, the band, of course, never played in Hawaii. We talked with Jonathan about he got married here on the Big Island. He comes back every year for his, I guess, to relive his honeymoon, as he put it to me. What's your own? You had said you've flown over a bunch on tours, but never stopped here. Have you ever been to Hawaii ever?
Never been here. It's weird. Every wedding I get invited to, all the tours I've even gotten invited with disco bands over here, the wig bands, and something always happens. So I even was joking with the guys as if this one gets canceled, I'm not supposed to go to Hawaii. Like there's some reason. It's awesome. I flew my girlfriend down, so we're after the gig tonight, we're going to Maui for a couple of days off and to just enjoy.
Good for you. Now you don't bring her to regular gigs. So I guess what you're saying is this is a special gig.
It's a very special day. Yeah. We have a 6-month-old at home, so since he's been born, we haven't had a chance to spend time together. So, her flying out, my mom flew out from Pennsylvania to watch him, and my aunt. So, yeah.
It's a family affair over here. Roll the sly stone here. And what about the other cats? I see there's a pretty long delay between this gig on the 16th and I believe it's the 29th. Where are the rest of the boys going to be?
We all have families now, so we're all, and each of us have our own solo things going on. We're kind of out of our minds with side bands, and we're always writing, and so we're still going to be finished up the record, the 10th studio record, which we're getting excited about.
X still?
Right now it's called X. Yeah, it won't be. I don't think it's going to come out like that, but we're excited about it. Since Korn 3, Remember Who You Are, that was my first official studio record. We've taken a big turn with this new music, dubstep, that's come out a couple years ago, and it's just really hitting big right now. Jonathan took a liking to it, and we started listening to it, and it's such a different approach, and we're having so much fun with different DJs from 12th Planet to Skrillex to Noise to all these people, and it's really fun right now. So we're just taking a different route, and hopefully turn some new people onto the music as well as please the old fans.
Oh, that's happening. So when you are you guys recording before the 29th of this month, or you guys have off till then?
We've been doing every time we're off. We in between Europe, we did 6 weeks of festivals in Europe, and in between that tour and this tour, we were in the studio. So, and when we go home, we're in the studio for another 6 days, finishing the record, and then going out hitting 3 dates, coming back, and then we have scattered dates in the States, and then so.
Wow, that's cool. So, just trying to map out where you characters are going to be. You mentioned Korn 3, your first one, and it was in, I guess, the beginning of the summer, maybe late spring of last year, that you guys did The Encounter. Is that roughly when that was filmed? Yeah,
we did. That was last summer, and that was crazy because...
June, I guess it was.
Yeah, and Summer Solstice, which was just crazy because... they're from Bakersfield, so them going back to where they started everything was kind of a trip. They're a big success, selling 28 million records and just being around for 19 years. And most metal bands, they peak it in a couple years and you'll never hear about them again. There's an exception to the Metallicas and the those kind of bands, but it's really cool to go out there with no audience, with helicopters flying over top of us and just creating jams. And we did all these like psychotic jams, and we didn't rehearse at all. We just kind of went and said, let's see what we got. And there was no punch-ins, no fix-ins, nothing. We just kind of went for it, and we left there just literally stumbling because it was just a weird, crazy experience, and I'm glad we captured it on video.
Oh, it's so much fun to watch. We were just watching it last night, sort of priming ourselves for the show. You mentioned there was no rehearsals, there's no punch-ins, just to be sure. So Jonathan's vocals that you hear and see on that is what was recorded that day?
Absolutely, yeah. It's absolutely. And he went in some wacky tangents, man, like emotional... Like I said, it's weird. We're always feeding off of audiences, and it's weird looking at like not seeing anything but a hey, and it was like, whoa, we're really vibing off of each other right now. There's nothing, so it's hard to go as nuts as you normally go, but yet there's a different creativity that comes out of you.
When he and I talked about that show, one of the things that he mentioned was, and it's an obvious comparison, certainly, if you know anything about rock. When you watch that, you think of maybe Pink Floyd live at Pompeii, and he brought that up on his own. Just out of curiosity for yourself, was that something that he had mentioned and going into it, so you already had it like planted in your mind, or did it occur to you that this was sort of like that?
No, I mean, the management actually said something about that a while back, saying that vibe going into it. But when we were actually doing it, there was none of that. I didn't think of, we respect Floyd. We actually do a little bit of Floyd in our set, so we really respect them. But no, it was just purely what came out of us. And Korn doesn't really sound like anybody, so it's you know what I'm saying, it's so identifiable that whatever we did, it just came out,
Absolutely, but it had a real, that's a nice comparison too in so many different ways. When I think of a gig before no audience in an unusual setting that you film, it's hard to find, and maybe being the rock cat that you are, you can plug it in. Is there another recording like that comes to mind besides Pompeii and your own? Are there a few other like no audience performances like that?
It's interesting. I never even really thought about it, but nothing pops in my head.
Yeah. Same here. It's so in some ways that there aren't a whole lot of other concerts to compare it to.
Yeah, a lot of bands would be freaked out because it's almost like recording something in your rehearsal space, only you're out in the field, which it's one thing if you're in a rehearsal space and you still get the vibe of the PA and there's lights, but this was like, I'm from a 118-acre farm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it was a trip because I used to set my drums up out in the field because no one was around for a mile. So it kind of took me back to when I was a kid. It was freaking me out because of the smell of the fields and there was no like vibe of a gig, so it really like took you out of your element. My girlfriend was watching it. She's like, you're not going like a maniac nuts like you usually do. I'm like, because I was tripping on the whole vibe of it. We were just like kind of grooving and not just putting on the full show. It was different, Yeah,
and I can imagine the aromatherapy, what you're talking about, that like as you could smell stuff, you remember like, wow, I feel like I'm a kid like shedding in the field.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Flashbacks.
That's cool. When moving forward and thinking about, I'm a drummer too. I don't play like regularly or anything, but that was my instrument growing up, and I had, coming down here. Full disclosure, we expected to talk to Monkey. Monkey isn't here yet, and we get Brother Ray, who is Dude, you were slaying on that encounter thing. As I watched last night, I was listening to you. So I always like to do this when I have drummers. Like, I'll tell you a couple of my favorites if you tell me some of your favorite cats.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I grew up, I was a rock. No one taught. I was self-taught, so I just played the stacks of records from Beatles to Elvis to Rush to AC/DC, Kiss, Ozzy, you name it. Like all those bands, no one said like this is how you play. I just tapped along until it sounded I thought was cool, and playing along with Zeppelin records. I always knew it was hard to play to Rush records than it was Back in Black. You know what I mean? It was a little bit, but and then when I got to school, I got taught how to play. I know what a quarter note was, and I played marching bands, and I got taught, dynamics and different styles, and then I finally went to PIT in Los Angeles, and then ended up teaching there later because there was not really rock programs there. It was a lot of jazz, Latin, and funk, but yeah,
So we could put any charts in front of you, and you'd just be able to take it on.
Yeah, not so much. I'm more of a heart player and by the ear. You know what I mean? Like I can read, but I'd much rather if you give me a CD or the chart, I'll definitely pick the CD
as for a learning mechanism.
Yeah, I want to feel it. You know what I mean? I don't like. And a lot of cats out there can, read a piece of paper and make it feel good. I really can't. I'm concentrating too much. It sounds like a robot when I'm done. So I want to feel it.
You nailed the stuff. So tell me, who are some of your favorite cats? Your personal cats?
Man, I would say like from Neil Peart to Peter Criss from Kiss. I mean, God, on the farm, they just were on the cover of everything. So I worshiped that guy. It was like such a big influence. But of course, like Terry Bozzio, I was way back in the Zappa days, and that always Buddy Rich, of course, and just cats like that.
So your ultimate favorites, I'm hearing, is Peter Criss literally among your very favorite?
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird. A lot of drummers laugh, but man, I played along with so many Kiss records till my hands fell off.
Bro, Baby Driver is one of my very favorite songs. Period.
You want to hear this? Is an honest to God true story, and you just nailed it on that. This is Baby Driver was the first song that I played to anybody. My mother and my sister were in the next room, and I wouldn't let them watch me. I go, okay, I'm going to play you a song. You have to sit in the next room and listen because I'm too embarrassed. Dude, Baby Driver, bro.
Loving it.
That was awesome.
That is really one of the and I've played that. I was just playing it for Famous the other night. I was like, listen to the multiple guitar lines and then like that Motown-esque vocal thing at the end.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a sick jam on that. Plus, he's singing in his voice as because when I was playing that whole Rock and Roll Over, and she heard Hard Luck Woman, was like, is this some a Rod Stewart song? I was like, no, that's his voice.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's like he had like a jazzy feel to his rock, and he might not have been technically efficient as all that, but it's like he's got this vibe, man. I was, when I'm friends with Eric Singer now, the new Peter Criss, he puts the whiskers on, and Eric's such a powerhouse, and it's we were talking about the feel that he's got to play kind of like Peter and mix with his, and it's crazy,
He's a monster. I've met him, seen him a bunch. He is a very, very good drummer, and people don't think of Peter as a real. Yeah. So you're the first guy ever that said that to me. So Peter is one, Terry's another one. Yeah. Is that number 1 and 2?
I would say Buddy Rich because I'm not a big jazzer, but like what he did on the drum kit made it speak, and just his chops and the attack and his attitude was just so grimy and greasy, and I'm the best drummer on the planet. Watch this, I'm going to throw it down your throat. He had a pastor in a church to a kid on their, on their toes up freaking out about it. It was amazing, So, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, like Phil Rudd, AC/DC, anyone that just like brings it. That's what when you go to a concert, see me play. If I'm tired, jet like that on my mind, I bring it because like if you're paying money to see a concert, if I always picture what would it be like if I was in the audience. Give me a show. I don't want to see a waiting for the bus look on the drummer's face and looking around. Give me a show. Bring it.
I like that waiting for the bus look. Yeah. I got to use that one. And when I'm doing an interview, please don't have the waiting for the bus look. I get it. That's a good one. All right, my favorites would be, you already sort of named one. My 2 favorites would have to be John Bonham and Cozy Powell.
Wow, yeah, big time. Yep, forgot about Cozy. Bonham definitely. Cozy doesn't get enough credit, if you ask me.
Never gets enough credit. I always like to give him that extra.
Yeah, well, good. There we go. It's out there. It's out now.
Yeah, he's a solid brother. And when you think about this, we mentioned it a little as we go to let you go, because we could talk to DeRay all night. He's obviously a really nice guy. We talked briefly about this new record, and it has the possibility to be an alienator for some folks because of just what you named, which is the band are in another experimental stage, this dubstep movement. Skrillex is the tune is already out, giving you, I guess, like a taste of what may be to come. As a guy who I'm assuming doesn't dig drum machines because you're a natural, rhythm instrument yourself. Describe what the sound of this record's going to be and how much of an electronic feel it's going to have.
Well, it's definitely going to have. It's night and day from the last record. Korn 3, Remember Who You Are, was like, we had 2-inch tape, no click tracks, 4 guys in a room, just
Ampex 456,
full blown, man. I would love to go fix some drums on that record, but you know what? I'm really proud of it now because it's just what it is and the feel. This record, however, it's really different for me because I'm using a lot of triggers now live. I'm going to be using, a lot of the stuff on the record. The drums are so locked up because that's the sound, that's the feel and the way it's supposed to be. So to me, it took me a little bit to swallow, but now I love the sound so much and I love the energy of it that I really dig it. Most drummers, it's a nightmare for them, but to me, I'm having a blast with it and just adding that element to Korn. That's what I love about them. They're not afraid to experiment. You know what I mean? It's like their fans are really loyal. Like Untitled sounds nothing like See You on the Other Side. It sounds like or Korn 3, but it all comes back to identifiable Korn sound, so no one sings like Jonathan on the planet, So.
And it is hard. It's the balance between having that signature sound that your fans expect and then also being able to experiment. And this is going to be a weird record. I can just tell it's going to be one of those real challenging ones for folks. Is there an acoustic? I had heard there might be even something acoustic mixed in there. Is that true or not?
I don't know about that. Records, until it's like shrink wrapped in my hand, anything's possible. So, you never know.
Yeah, that's a great way with the way that the business is headed these days. And as just a final note for you, you've got this coming up. You said you're going to go back into the studio and then bang out a handful of dates interspersed with more studio work. Is there a specific timeline for when the record's going to drop?
Not sure. They're saying end of August, but I would say more like in September, the way it's looking. Korn.com has a lot of updates, and we're really trying to keep fans up with it, so everyone check out Korn.com.
Okay. And I will keep on there myself. Ray Luzier, it has been a pleasure to get to talk with you, and thanks. Hope this wasn't a drag for you.
Oh, man, it was awesome, man. Good talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you just do a couple IDs?
Yeah. Aloha, everyone. This is Ray. I play in a band called Korn, and you're in a fantastic place. You're tuned in to not only the show that matters with my good friend Dave Lawrence. Rock on, Davey boy.
Try that one more time.
Okay. Aloha, this is Ray from Korn, and you're in a fantastic place. You're tuned in to the only show that matters with my good friend Dave Lawrence. Rock on, Davey boy.
Awesome.
What's up, everyone? Aloha. This is, I almost said monkey. There we go. What's up, everyone? Aloha. This is Ray from Korn, kicking back with my buddy Dave Lawrence. I cannot be restrained any longer. I finally get to proudly inform you it's Dave's and Korn's favorite time of day. Hey, brother Dave, have a happy, healthy 420.